Welcome everyone to the final round of the Norway Chess 2024. We have an exciting battle on our hands. Praggnanandhaa with the white pieces taking on Hikaru Nakamura. Their classical game ended in a draw, and now we are down to this battle where Pragg has 10 minutes on the clock and Hikaru has 7 minutes. You can see both the players are waiting for the game to begin. The reason why Hikaru has 7 is because a draw would mean he wins the game. Pragg has to win at all costs. Right now, they are looking at some Armageddon game that's going on, perhaps on the big screen. Maybe it's Magnus versus Caruana that they are looking at. Hikaru has spoken very highly of Praggnanandhaa's rapid skills. Ever since he lost that match against Pragg at the World Cup, look at Hikaru there. He's taken a nice position in a way where he gets the direct view of the screen and doesn't have to, keep turning around because they're waiting for their game to begin. Meanwhile, Pragg is thinking about what opening he would be playing here, perhaps. He's trying to get focused. And we are about to begin. There we have Hikaru taking his place. And we are good to go. A handshake, and Pragg opens the game with d4. Knight comes out to f6, and the London system. Hikaru plays d5, e3, and c5, hitting the center. What is Pragg's response going to be? You see, Pragg thinks for a bit and plays knight f3. Pragg has many lines up his sleeve in such openings. If you remember the Trompovsky which he played recently, bishop b5. This he's played with Anish Giri before. The best move is queen a5 check, knight c3 and knight e4. This is exactly what Anish played in 2023 here. By the way, instead of bishop b5 here, the main moves are knight d2 and c3. But bishop b5 seems to be a Pragg speciality. The engines don't really rate it highly because of this move queen a5, but I think Pragg has enough deep preparation there to equalize. Queen b6 is not the best. It's not the best move. You can see Pragg looking away and thinking that's what top players do when they are recollecting. They often don't look at the board. They try to look in the distance what the move is. The best move is c4 now. And what will happen after this is that this tension in the center will lead to white having a better position because he's very close to castling, while black king needs to first move a pawn, remove the bishop somewhere, and then castle. And this is going to become a very important theme here. You can see Pragg taking a bit of time, trying to recollect not just his analysis but also trying to see if they work out on the board. He's not making some error, and he plays c4. He plays it, and you can see Hikaru a bit surprised there. Now, if you take, by the way, d takes c4, some very interesting lines with knight a3 can begin, because there can be later on he can take on c4, knight e5 is possible, even d5 move shouldn't be underestimated. So this can get very nasty. The safest move here for Hikaru is to play e6 and quickly remove his bishop and castle, but he goes for more ambitious approach. He goes bishop g4, and now what is the problem with this move is that he is even taking further time to castle and put his king to safety. Pragg goes knight c3, e6 played now. Pragg has couple of moves to show if he can make use of his lead in development here. Will he be able to? And I think that's the reason why Pragg is taking time. And it's a smart decision by Pragg. He's not racing here. And very important, because this can give him a good position. Castles is very important because now it creates threats of knight a4. And earlier the queen would give a check, but now with castle it doesn't. a6 played. Many interesting moves are possible. Knight a4 still possible. Bishop takes c6. Maybe not so, because he'll take with the queen. And I think it's important to sort of create this. Maybe d takes c5 is the move. So knight a4 or d takes c5. You will see Pragg here trying to think it through, because bishop takes, queen takes. There's no knight e5. It's pinned. He takes on c5. Good move there by Pragg. Because if bishop c5, you have knight a4 attacking here, and this gets very dangerous, like take, and rook c1 with the idea of coming into c7. So this is all very nasty, You can see Hikaru, generally to dc5, he would make his move instantly. But here he has to think. He has to think what to do. Maybe he wants to take with the bishop. Maybe he wants to take with the queen. I think taking with the queen makes more sense because bishop takes is met with knight a4. Wow, Praggnanandhaa has put Hikaru under great pressure out of the opening. It's Pragg's way to play the London system. He's always having new ideas up his sleeve. Here, and right now Pragg has 8 minutes on the clock. Hikaru shaking his head. He didn't expect that in 9 moves he will be put under so much pressure by the youngster. But that's what modern chess theory is all about. You need to know your lines. Queen takes c5, knight a4, instantly played by Pragg. Now this queen is weirdly placed. It can't go back to these two squares where it wants to go. It has to either go to a7 or e7. On e7 it blocks the bishop. So he goes queen a7, takes, and Pragg brings rook c1. Look at the speed with which Pragg is playing. Now he wants to take and play rook c7. Hikaru brings his bishop out, Pragg takes and knight takes. Hikaru says, take my pawn here, Pragg. Be my guest. So if you take, knight f4, pawn takes, queen b7. Very nice move. Attacking here and castling will happen on the next move when black has compensation. So now Pragg, of course, has a tough decision to make what to do. He goes h3. I like this move because if bishop h5, he'll go g4. Bishop g6, he'll put his knight here and attack this with the knight. So a nice move there by Pragg, asking a question to Hikaru. These are moves, rook takes c6, which many would fall for, but Pragg, not so much. He's like, I need to keep this initiative flowing. And now Hikaru, of course, needs to take perhaps. Also, it's okay to perhaps go bishop h5, but he takes, queen takes. And now he can castle here, but he first goes rook c8, saving his pawn, bishop e5, attacking g7. And now the problem for black is that he's not losing material as such, but he has a weak pawn on c6, weak pawn on a6. White has a very powerful bishop. The rook is excellently placed here, with the knight also looking at a good square. So everything's looking great for Pragg. Rook c4. I love this rook lift because not only he can double on the c file, he can swing the rook over here to attack on the king. This is brilliant, high quality chess by Praggnanandhaa. It's a better position against Hikaru, but beating Hikaru from a better position is never an easy matter. Let's see how Pragg does here. He brings the rook. This is the correct move. Now pressure on the c5 pawn keeps mounting. For now, he's not threatening to take the pawn. And Hikaru tries to focus in there. Knight b6 played. Maybe a better move was knight b4. But knight b6, he's attacking the knight and the rook here. 2 attacks. But what Pragg can do now is he can take, queen takes, and you can see the rook is undefended. So he can push the pawn here and win the pawn. This could be very much possible here. Let's see if Pragg goes for it. Look at Pragg. He's so zoned in because he knows a sacrifice here is possible with the rook and queen swinging in. He knows queen g4 is possible. He knows directly rook g4 is possible. So there are so many possibilities here. Thinking hard, and I think the right moment to think. Hikaru is down to 2 minutes 39 seconds. Pragg has 7 minutes, somewhere close to 6.5 minutes on the clock. What is Pragg going to do next is the question on everyone's mind, also on Hikaru's mind. We spoke about this knight takes, queen takes and b4, but Pragg begins with queen g4. He's threatening mate in 1. You can't play f6 because of queen e6. g6 played, knight takes, queen takes, and now you will see that he goes b4. And the thing here to notice, Pragg was so smart to create additional dark square weaknesses, which is very important, because imagine, let's say you make some move, I take, bishop takes, queen comes to g5 to f6. He goes rook c6. And I believe Pragg is going to snatch the pawn. This is, Hikaru wants to double, by the way, here. He wants to double on the c file. Clearly, Pragg is trying to calculate through here. Well, one idea is to also perhaps play queen f3 with the looking at the rook, and also b takes, bishop takes, then the queen can sink into f6. So it's a very strong, powerful move. The other idea is to go bishop d4, make use of this pin even more. So a lot of possibilities for Pragg, and I think he's very right in using the time. What will you do with extra time, right? Just make use of it right now when there are so many possibilities and when you are so close to winning. He takes on c5 and Hikaru instantly plays queen b7. I can understand that bishop c5 he didn't like because of queen g5 and coming in here. But what I didn't understand is why not try rook c5? He could have played this and this was a good move. But a queen b7 instantly played. Now, not only is Hikaru having a worse position, but he is also material down. He's a pawn down here. And there are many ways to continue for white. He can go queen f3, he can go queen e4. Many different possibilities. Pragg goes h4. I really like this move. f6 played. And you know, with h4 he's trying to soften up the king side. Hikaru has played f6. Pragg goes bishop d6. Now with bishop d6, if you take here, there is an intermezzo, queen takes e6. So maybe Hikaru has to be careful about that. He has 2 minutes to figure out. Pragg is now down to 4 minutes. So the time difference has been reduced. f5 played. And what is Pragg going to play here? You can see that he goes queen g3 and rook d8 played. Well, it's time to sort of push forward. h5. Let's go. h5 on the board. That's what he plays. g5 played by Hikaru. He's still trying to hang on here. The bishop defends the pawn. If bishop takes bishop, he has queen takes. Oh. e4. Pragg opens up another front here. And now if you play f4, then the queen goes back here and attacks this weakness. Very strong move, e4 by Pragg. And Hikaru takes the pawn, fe4. But now this king is terribly weak. This rook can also swing over at the right time. Not now, by the way, don't make this blunder, because there is this latent threat. So queen e5. I like this move by Pragg. He's entering the position. He's looking here at g7. He's looking at e6. Again, taking here means queen takes g5 is hanging. So that's the reason why Hikaru cannot take here. And he is running out of moves here, Hikaru Nakamura. He does not have many good moves to make. He does not have enough time on the clock. There's a lot that he's put under pressure here. And I think this has been almost a flawless game by Praggnanandhaa until this point. It also shows how good Praggnanandhaa is. Now, e6 pawn, how do you defend it? Maybe queen d7. He plays queen d7, but Pragg goes h6. He has all his moves ready. He wants to checkmate here on g7. Nothing less than that. And if the bishop has to move, he loses g5 pawn. So, you know, it's not even possible to do much. Bishop f8. He takes on g5, king f7. And now there are many ways to win. Maybe the easiest is to take here so as to prepare this check. And also later rook e4. He takes on f8 and Hikaru resigns. Unbelievable game here. Praggnanandhaa playing beautiful chess, beating Hikaru in just 31 moves. Hikaru goes away from there. Praggnanandhaa gets back all the pieces, but he only arranges his side of the pieces, not Hikaru's. A nice win for Pragg, and these are the final standings.